The cream-colored envelope trembled in my hands as I stared at the embossed lettering. "You're invited. Mason Gallery Grand Opening." My sister's latest triumph, delivered right to my doorstep like a perfectly aimed punch to the gut. I'm Wendy, and the last time I showed my art to my family was exactly 18 years ago, at my sister Josephine's Sweet 16 party. The memory still burns like acid in my throat. "You have to come!" My mother Eleanor's voice crackled through my phone. "Your sister's worked so hard for this. Don't make everything about yourself again." I pressed my fingers against my temple. "Mom, I have deadlines." "Deadlines? For those little drawings you do?" "Josephine's opening her own gallery, Wendy. A real achievement." The familiar sting of her dismissal made my jaw clench. I glanced at my studio door, behind which my latest collection sat waiting. The same collection I'd submitted anonymously to Josephine's gallery 2 months ago. "Fine," I said. "I'll be there. Wear something appropriate, not like last time." I hung up before she could remind me about the charity gala, where I'd apparently embarrassed them by wearing a vintage dress instead of designer labels. My phone buzzed with a text from Cade. "Did you get it?" I texted back. "The invitation?" "Yeah," she took the bait. "You sure about this?" Before I could respond, another message popped up. Josephine. "Hey sis, Mom said you're coming. I'm so excited to show you everything. The anonymous artist we're featuring is incredible. Their work reminds me of... Well, never mind. Just wait until you see it." My hands shook as I read her message. Of course she didn't recognize my style. She'd made sure to destroy every piece of art I'd created before that night. I dialed Cade. "Talk me out of this," I said when he answered. "You know I won't," he replied. "But are you ready for the fallout?" I walked to my studio and pushed open the door. 12 canvases lined the walls, each one a piece of my soul laid bare. The centerpiece was the largest, a teenage girl standing in a destroyed room, torn paintings at her feet, while another girl watched from the doorway with a satisfied smile. "Remember what she did?" I asked Cade. "The Sweet 16 incident? You've only told me about it 100 times. She convinced everyone I'd copied my paintings from some obscure European artist. Said she'd found the originals online. My parents didn't even question it. They just assumed I was lying. Dad called it my attention-seeking phase. And now? And now she's built her reputation on discovering fresh talent. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so infuriating." A small voice in the background caught my attention. "Is that Aunt Wendy?" Jake, Josephine's 12-year-old son. The only person in the family who seemed genuinely interested in my art. "Hey, buddy," I called out. "Are you coming to Mom's gallery? Will you bring some of your drawings?" I caught Cade's eye in the video call. He raised an eyebrow. "Actually, Jake, you might see some of my work there after all." "Really? Mom didn't say—" "It's a surprise," I interrupted, watching Cade shake his head with a knowing smile. After saying goodbye, I stood in front of my paintings. 18 years of practice, of perfecting my technique in secret, while my family dismissed my passion as a hobby. 18 years of watching Josephine build her reputation in the art world, while I worked late nights at my graphic design job, using every spare moment to paint. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Josephine. "BTW. Wear something classic. Sadie suggested everyone wear black. It's more sophisticated." Sadie. Of course she was involved. My sister's best friend since college, always ready with a subtle dig or backhanded compliment. I opened my closet and pulled out the dress I'd been saving. Blood red, elegant, and impossible to ignore. Perfect for the night, I'd finally show my family exactly who I was and what I could do. The invitation sat on my desk, mocking me with its perfect calligraphy. In 2 weeks, Josephine would unveil her gallery's first major exhibition, featuring an exciting new artist she'd discovered. In 2 weeks, I'd either destroy my relationship with my family forever or finally force them to see me. My phone lit up with one last message from Cade. "Remember, revenge is a dish best served in a crowded gallery." I smiled, thinking of the signature I'd used on all the paintings. W.M. Josephine had been so excited about her mysterious new artist, she never bothered to wonder what those initials might stand for. I picked up my brushes, ready to add the final touches to my masterpiece. The Sweet 16 painting needed one last detail, a small butterfly emerging from the destruction, its wings the color of hope and revenge. 2 days before the gallery opening, I stood in my studio, carefully wrapping each painting. My hands moved methodically over the bubble wrap while Cade lounged on my paint-splattered couch, scrolling through his phone. "Your sister's really promoting this," he said, turning his screen toward me. "Look at this Instagram post. Thrilled to present the most exciting new artist I've discovered in years. Their work speaks to the depths of family dynamics and personal growth." I snorted. "She has no idea how right she is." The doorbell rang, making me jump. Cade raised an eyebrow. "Expecting someone?" "The delivery service. They're picking up the pieces for installation tonight." But when I opened the door, I found Jake standing there, backpack slung over one shoulder. "Aunt Wendy, Mom's busy with the gallery, so Dad dropped me off. Is that okay?" I glanced at Cade, who was already gathering up the wrapping materials and moving them out of sight. "Of course it's okay," I said, pulling Jake into a hug. "But does your mom know you're here?" He shrugged. "I told her I was going to the library." "Jake, I wanted to see your art studio. You always have the coolest stuff." He peered around me. "Are you working on anything new?" Before I could stop him, he darted past me into the studio. I held my breath, but Cade had already covered the paintings. "Sorry, buddy," Cade said. "We're just cleaning up today, but I bet your aunt would love to show you some sketching techniques." Jake's face lit up. "Can we? Mom says artists need proper training, but I like the way you draw better." The innocent comment hit like a sledgehammer. I grabbed my sketchbook and some pencils, trying to keep my voice steady. "What does your mom say about art?" "She says talent isn't enough. You need connections and the right education." He accepted the pencil I handed him. "She told Aunt Sadie that's why you never made it as an artist." Cade coughed loudly, drawing Jake's attention. "Hey, want to learn how to sketch perspective? I learned this cool trick in art school." While Cade worked with Jake, my phone buzzed. "Josephine." "Where's Jake? His dad said he might be with you." I typed back, "He's here. We're sketching." 3 dots appeared immediately. "Wendy, you know he needs to focus on his real studies. Art is fine as a hobby, but don't fill his head with unrealistic ideas." My fingers tightened around the phone. "Like you did with mine?" The dots appeared and disappeared several times before her response came. "That was different. You were copying other artists. I was trying to protect you from embarrassment." "Is that what you tell yourself? Can we not do this now? The gallery opening is in 2 days. Just send Jake home and focus on getting ready. You are still coming, right?" I looked at Jake, bent over his sketchbook with fierce concentration, then at the covered paintings, waiting for delivery. Wouldn't miss it for the world. The doorbell rang again. The actual delivery service this time. I hurried Jake and Cade into the kitchen while the workers loaded my paintings. "Ice cream break?" I suggested, pulling out 3 bowls. Jake spooned chocolate ice cream into his mouth. "Your art is going to be in Mom's gallery, isn't it?" I nearly dropped my spoon. "What makes you say that?" I saw the signature on one of the paintings before Mr. Cade covered them. "WM. That's you, right?" "Wendy Mason?" Cade let out a low whistle. "Observant kid." Jake's eyes sparkled. "Are you going to surprise everyone? That's so cool. Mom's been talking about these paintings for weeks." I knelt beside his chair. "Jake, you can't tell anyone. Not yet. Promise me?" He mimed, zipping his lips. "Promise." "But can I be there when you tell them? Mom's going to be so excited." My stomach twisted. Would she be excited? Or would she find another way to discredit me, like she had before? "We'll see," I said softly. "Now, let's get you home before your mom sends out a search party." After dropping Jake off, I returned to find Cade still in my kitchen, his expression serious. "That kid adores you," he said. "Are you sure you want to go through with this?" I opened my phone to Josephine's latest Instagram post, a teaser photo of one of my paintings, carefully cropped to show just a corner. The caption read, "Art has the power to reveal hidden truths. Join us for an unforgettable opening night." Hidden truths, I murmured. She has no idea. Wendy. I've spent 18 years hiding my work, Cade, watching her build her career, while she told everyone I was a fraud. Even now, she can't admit what she did. And Jake? I thought of his excited face, the way he'd promised to keep my secret. Maybe it's time someone showed him that talent doesn't always need the right connections. Sometimes it just needs the courage to be seen. Cade nodded slowly. Well then, let's make sure you're unforgettable. He pulled out his phone. Now, about that red dress. The gallery buzzed with opening night energy. I smoothed down my red dress, standing out like a flame among the sea of black-clad art enthusiasts. My mother spotted me immediately, her disapproval visible from across the room. "Wendy!" she hissed, pulling me aside. "I specifically told you black tie." "No, Mom, Sadie suggested black. I decided to make my own statement." "You always do," she sighed. "Just try not to overshadow your sister's big night." Before I could respond, Josephine's voice rang out through the gallery. "Everyone, thank you so much for coming." She stood on a small platform, radiant in a designer black gown. Tonight marks not just the opening of Mason Gallery, but the debut of an extraordinary new talent. My heart pounded as I watched her gesture to my paintings, displayed prominently on the pristine walls. When these pieces first crossed my desk, I knew instantly they were something special. She continued, "The raw emotion, the technical mastery, the deeply personal narrative." "Deeply personal indeed," Sadie's voice came from behind me. "Love the dress, Wendy. Always trying to steal the spotlight, aren't you?" I turned to face her, noting the champagne glass that never seemed to leave her hand. "Sadie, still riding my sister's coattails? I'm better than being the family disappointment," she smirked, "though I suppose someone has to play that role." "Ladies," my father interrupted, appearing between us, "Josephine's about to reveal the centerpiece." I moved away from Sadie, positioning myself near the covered painting, my sweet 16-piece. Cade appeared at my elbow, passing me a glass of champagne. "You okay?" he whispered. "Ask me in 10 minutes." Josephine was working the crowd, moving from guest to guest with practiced charm. "The artist prefers to remain anonymous for now," she was saying, "but their work speaks volumes about family dynamics, betrayal, and ultimately, redemption." Jake caught my eye from across the room and gave me a subtle thumbs up. I winked back, my hands trembling slightly around my glass. "The technical skill is remarkable," an art critic was saying to my mother. "The emotion in each piece feels so authentic." "Yes," my mother replied. "Josephine has always had an eye for talent." "Unlike some people," Sadie added loudly, looking directly at me. "Remember that disaster at Josephine's Sweet 16? What was it? Traced artwork?" The room seemed to still. Josephine's head snapped up, her smile faltering slightly. "Ancient history," she said quickly. "Now, if I could have everyone's attention, it's time to unveil our featured piece." I moved closer to the covered canvas, my heart in my throat. Cade squeezed my arm supportively. "This painting," Josephine announced, "captures a pivotal moment of transformation. A moment when everything changes." She gripped the cloth covering the canvas. "I'm honored to present—" The cloth fell away. There it was, my masterpiece. The destroyed room, the torn paintings, the watching figure in the doorway, and that small, defiant butterfly emerging from the chaos. The crowd murmured appreciatively. Jake's eyes were wide as he looked between me and the painting. "The detail is extraordinary," the critic commented. "Those torn paintings in the background, they almost look like actual works I've seen before." Josephine's smile tightened slightly. "Yes, the artist has a remarkable way of capturing—" "They're your paintings!" Jake burst out, looking at me. "From that night!" The room went silent. Josephine froze, her hand still on the cloth she'd dropped. "Jake, what are you talking about?" my mother asked. But Josephine was staring at the painting now, really looking at it. I watched as recognition dawned in her eyes. She stepped closer, examining the butterfly in the corner, then the signature. "W.M.," she whispered. Her head snapped up, finding me in the crowd. "Wendy?" I lifted my champagne glass in a mock toast. "Surprise, sis! Still think I traced my work?" "I don't understand," my father said, looking between us. "Josephine, what's going on?" "Why don't you tell them?" I suggested, my voice carrying in the silent gallery. "About how you destroyed my paintings that night? How you convinced everyone I was a fraud?" "That's not— I didn't—" Josephine's perfectly composed facade cracked. "The anonymous artist you've been praising," I continued, "the raw emotion you connected with, that's 18 years of silence, 18 years of watching you build your reputation while I worked in secret." "Wendy," my mother started, but I cut her off. "Look around, Mom. Really look. Every painting in this gallery is mine, and not one of you recognized my work. Not even you, Josephine. So much for your expert eye." The critic was scribbling frantically in his notebook. Sadie's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. Josephine stepped toward me, her face pale. "We need to talk." "Yes," I agreed, meeting her eyes. "We really do." "Everyone out!" Josephine's voice cracked like a whip through the gallery. "Private family matter. We'll resume the opening tomorrow." The crowd reluctantly shuffled toward the exit, whispering among themselves. The critic lingered, clearly hoping to witness more drama, until Sadie practically pushed him out the door. "Not you," I said as Cade started to leave. "You stay." "He's not family," my mother protested. "He's the only one who's supported my art for the past decade. He stays." Jake moved closer to me, his small hand slipping into mine. "I knew you were amazing, Aunt Wendy." "Jake, go wait in my office," Josephine ordered. "No," he said firmly. "I want to stay." Josephine's perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide her rising color. "This is completely inappropriate. You submitted these works under false pretenses." "False pretenses?" I laughed, like telling everyone I traced my work when I was 16. "You were young," she said. "I was trying to protect you from embarrassment." "Protect me?" My voice rose. "You destroyed every painting in my room." "Those paintings weren't ready for public viewing," my mother cut in. "Josephine was being sensible." "Sensible?" I pulled Jake closer. "Tell me, Mom, what would you do if someone destroyed Jake's artwork? Would you call that sensible?" My father stepped forward, his face troubled. "Now, wait a minute. Destroyed the paintings? I thought you'd thrown them away yourself after the copying incident. Is that what they told you?" I turned to the centerpiece painting. "Look at it, Dad. Really look. That's my room that night. That's Josephine in the doorway, watching. Those are my torn canvases on the floor." He moved closer to the painting, adjusting his glasses. "But why would—" "Because I was getting attention," I said quietly. "Because people at the party were asking about my work, instead of focusing on the birthday girl." "That's not true!" Josephine's composure cracked. "You were always showing off, always trying to overshadow me. By doing what I loved, by being good at it." "You weren't that good," she snapped, then immediately covered her mouth. The gallery fell silent. Jake's hand tightened in mine. "But she is that good," he said into the quiet. "Mom, you've been talking about these paintings for weeks. You said they were brilliant." Sadie, who'd been hovering near the door, stepped forward. "Joey, maybe we should—" "Stay out of this," Kate and I said simultaneously. My mother pressed her fingers to her temples. "This is ridiculous. Wendy, you're ruining your sister's opening night with ancient history." "Ancient history?" I gestured to the walls. "Every painting here tells that history. The one of the girl burning her sketchbooks? That's the year after the Sweet 16, when I believed you all and quit art. The butterfly series? Those are from when I started painting again in secret." "They're extraordinary," my father said softly, still studying the centerpiece. "How did we not see?" "Because you never looked," I replied. You never asked about my little drawings or wondered why I stopped sharing my work. You just accepted Josephine's version of events. Because she was the responsible one, my mother burst out. She had a plan, a proper education. You were always. Always what, Mom? A dreamer, Josephine finished. You lived in your own world with your art. I was trying to make you face reality. By destroying my work? By lying? I didn't lie. I just exaggerated. Made them see what I needed them to see. Jake pulled away from me, staring at his mother. You mean you lied? Josephine flinched. Jake, honey, it's complicated. No, it's not, he said. You hurt Aunt Wendy because you were jealous, and now you're mad because she's better than you thought. Out of the mouths of babes, Cade murmured. Josephine sank onto a nearby bench, her perfect posture crumbling. I didn't. I never meant. Yes, you did, I said quietly. You meant every bit of it. And now you've built your whole career on discovering new artists, on having that perfect eye for talent. Yet you couldn't recognize your own sister's work. What do you want from me? She whispered. An apology? Fine, I'm sorry. No, I said, moving to stand before my centerpiece. I want you to really look at what you did. I want you to face it, just like you made me face it 18 years ago. And then I want you to tell them the truth. All of it. She lifted her eyes to the painting, to the butterfly emerging from the destruction, and for the first time, I saw something crack in her carefully constructed facade. She started, then stopped, her eyes filling with tears. I don't know if I can. Then I will, I said, turning to face my family. And this time, everyone's going to listen. It wasn't just the sweet 16, I began, walking slowly around the gallery. It started long before that. Every art show at school, every competition I entered, Josephine always had something to say about it. You're exaggerating, my mother started, but my father held up his hand. Let her speak, Eleanor. I stopped at a smaller painting, a girl hiding her drawings under her bed. Remember when I won the state art competition in 10th grade? The next day, Josephine told everyone I'd copied the design from a magazine. That's because you did. Josephine stood up. I found the magazine. No, you didn't, I cut her off. You created a fake post online, backdated it, made it look like I'd stolen the idea. Sadie shifted uncomfortably by the door. Joey, maybe we should. You helped her, I said, turning to Sadie. Didn't you? With the fake post? Sadie's face flushed. We were kids. And the sweet 16? I pressed. Did you help destroy my paintings too? That wasn't supposed to happen, Sadie whispered. She just wanted to hide them, not... Sadie, shut up! Josephine snapped. Jake moved to stand in front of his mother. What did you do? Josephine's lips trembled. I was turning 16. Everyone was supposed to be focusing on me, but they kept talking about Wendy's art, the paintings she was going to unveil at my party, how talented she was. So you destroyed them, my father said, his voice heavy. I just wanted to hide them until after the party. Josephine's composure cracked completely. But when I was moving them, some got torn. And then you panicked, I finished. So you destroyed the rest and claimed I'd copied them all. It wasn't supposed to go that far, she whispered. But everyone believed it so easily, and then it just snowballed. My mother sank into a chair. All these years, why didn't you say something, Wendy? Would you have believed me? I asked quietly. You never did before. The silence that followed was deafening. I believed you, Jake said suddenly. He walked to one of my paintings, a series of butterflies breaking free from their cocoons. Mom always says art needs proper training, but look what Aunt Wendy did on her own. Cade stepped forward. She practiced every day for 18 years, while working a full-time job, while watching her sister build a career on discovering new talent. Do you know how many nights I found her in her studio at 3 a.m., perfecting her technique? Why now? Josephine asked, her voice small. Why submit to my gallery? I touched the frame of the centerpiece. Because I needed you to really see, not just my work, but what you did. What it did to me. And because what? Because part of me hoped you'd recognize my style. That somewhere deep down, you remembered what my art looked like before you destroyed it. Josephine started to cry, mascara running down her cheeks. I was so jealous. You made it look so easy, and I couldn't draw more than stick figures. Art was the one thing I could never do, but I wanted so badly to be part of that world. So you became a gallery owner instead, I said. Built your reputation on finding other people's talent. I'm good at it, she defended weakly. I know good art when I see it. Except when it's your sister's, Jake said. My father cleared his throat. The paintings. How much are they selling for? Dad, Josephine protested. 50,000 each, I said. That's what your gallery priced them at, isn't it, Josephine? My mother's head snapped up. 50,000? The centerpiece is marked at 75, Cade added helpfully. Several buyers have already expressed interest. All those years, my father murmured. We told you to focus on something practical. Josephine stood up suddenly. Take them down. What? Several voices asked at once. Take the paintings down. The opening's canceled. I can't do this. No, I said firmly. You don't get to hide this away, not this time. It's my gallery. With my art. Art you praised. Art you promoted. Art you signed contracts for. The color drained from her face. The contracts? Legally binding, Cade confirmed. Unless you want to explain to your buyers and the press why you're canceling your grand opening. Josephine looked around the gallery, at our parents, at Jake, at her carefully built world crumbling around her. What do you want from me? She whispered. I stepped closer to her. I want you to tell the truth. Tomorrow, at the real opening. No more anonymous artist. No more lies. You'll destroy everything I've built. No, I said softly. I'll set us both free. The next morning, the gallery hummed with an even larger crowd. News of the previous night's drama had spread, drawing more curious onlookers and press. I stood in the back, still in my red dress from the night before, watching Josephine approach the microphone. She looked different, smaller somehow, without her usual polish. Her black dress was wrinkled, her makeup hastily applied. Thank you all for coming, she began, her voice shaking slightly. Before we continue with the opening, I have something important to share. Cameras flashed. The art critic from last night pushed to the front, pen poised. The artist whose work you see around you. Josephine paused, looking at me. I nodded slightly. The artist is my sister, Wendy. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, but that's not all I need to say. She gripped the microphone stand. 18 years ago, I did something unforgivable. Josephine, our mother warned. But Dad held her back. I destroyed my sister's art. I lied about her work. I convinced everyone she was a fraud because I was jealous of her talent. Josephine's voice cracked. And for 18 years, she kept painting anyway. These works you see, they're not just art. They're her story, our story. And I'm so sorry. The crowd erupted with questions. Cameras clicked rapidly. Ms. Mason! The critic called out. Are you saying you built your career on discovering new artists while suppressing your own sister's talent? Before Josephine could answer, Jake stepped forward. My mom made a mistake, he said clearly, but Aunt Wendy's showing everyone that talent can't be hidden forever. Sadie pushed through the crowd. Joey, stop this. We can spin it differently. No more spinning, Josephine said firmly. No more lies. I moved to stand beside her at the microphone. The cameras swung toward me. My sister did something terrible when we were young, I said. But this exhibition isn't just about revenge. It's about breaking free. Look at the butterflies in each painting. They represent transformation, hope. And forgiveness? Josephine whispered. I met her eyes. That depends on what happens next. The paintings, she said suddenly. They're not for sale anymore. The crowd groaned in disappointment. What? I turned to her. They're not for sale because they belong in a museum. Josephine straightened up. As the start of a new collection. Hidden Talents, the Recovery of Art and Truth. If my sister agrees. The critic's pen flew across his notebook. And who would curate this collection? I would, I said, with my sister's help. If she's willing to start over, to do things right this time. Josephine's eyes filled with tears. You'd work with me, after everything? On one condition. I turned to face her fully. No more lies, about anything, and you get help for this need to control narratives. Therapy, she nodded. I started calling counselors this morning. Our mother pushed forward. This is ridiculous. You can't air family business like this. Mom, Dad interrupted. Look at the paintings. Really look at them. This is what our daughter has been carrying for 18 years. We owe her this moment. The critic raised his hand. And what about the buyers who were promised these pieces? They'll be invited to be founding donors of the collection, Josephine said, their names displayed prominently as supporters of emerging artists who faced suppression. I couldn't help but smile. Even now, she was thinking like a businesswoman. Speaking of emerging artists, I said, turning to Jake, would you like to show everyone your sketchbook? His face lit up. Really? Really, Josephine and I said together. As Jake proudly showed his drawings to the admiring crowd, Cade appeared at my side. Well, this isn't quite the revenge you planned, he murmured. No, I agreed. It's better. Josephine touched my arm hesitantly. There's something else you should know. Last night, after everyone left, I went through my old emails. I found all the messages where Sadie and I planned the Sweet 16 incident, the fake posts, everything. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm sending them to you, and to Mom and Dad, and I've asked Sadie to leave the gallery, permanently. I watched Sadie storm out, her heels clicking angrily on the floor. That must have been hard, I said. She's been your friend for years. She helped me hurt you, Josephine replied simply. That's not friendship. The critic approached us. Ladies, would you consider an exclusive interview? This story of art, betrayal, and redemption, it's powerful stuff. Josephine looked at me questioningly. I nodded. Yes, she said, but we tell it together. The whole truth. Including the ugly parts? I asked. Especially those. She squared her shoulders. It's time I faced my own canvas. Jake called out from across the room. Mom, Aunt Wendy, come look at what I drew. We moved toward him together, and for the first time in 18 years, I felt the weight of hidden talent lifting from my shoulders. Sometimes revenge doesn't look like destruction. Sometimes it looks like truth, finally set free. A week after the gallery opening, Josephine and I sat in her office, surrounded by papers and coffee cups. The media storm hadn't died down. If anything, it had intensified after our joint interview hit the press. Another museum called, Josephine said, hanging up her phone. They want to host the collection after its initial run here. That's the fourth one this week. I shuffled through proposal documents. How are you holding up? She rubbed her temples. My therapist says I need to practice radical honesty. So honestly, this is terrifying. Everything I built was based on being in control of the narrative. And now? Now I'm letting the truth tell itself. She picked up the morning's newspaper. Our story splashed across the arts section. Though some people are still angry. Sadie's been talking to the press, I noted, pointing to a particularly nasty quote. Let her. I have the emails to prove everything. Josephine's hand shook slightly as she reached for her coffee. Did you see the comments on the article? Some people are calling for me to close the gallery. But more are calling it a powerful story of reconciliation, I countered. The art world loves redemption almost as much as it loves scandal. A knock at the door interrupted us. Jake poked his head in. Dad's here to pick me up, he said. But can I show you something first? He spread a drawing on the desk between us, a surprisingly sophisticated piece showing two women standing before a wall of butterflies. Jake, this is... Josephine's voice caught. It's beautiful, I finished. You've been practicing. Mom's been letting me take classes, he beamed. Real ones, not just the stuffy technical ones Aunt Sadie recommended. Josephine touched the drawing gently. I was so wrong about so many things. But you're fixing them, Jake said, hugging her. That's what matters, right? After he left, Josephine turned to me. I've been thinking about the museum collection's opening night. What about it? We should display my old emails and posts, the evidence of what I did, next to your paintings. I stared at her. Are you sure? That's putting everything out there. Isn't that the point? Complete truth? She stood and walked to the window. I've had 3 young artists contact me this week, all with stories about their work being suppressed or stolen. They said our story gave them courage. It's not just our story anymore, is it? No. She turned back to me. Which is why we need to tell all of it. Will you help me write the exhibition text? The real story from both sides? Before I could answer, our parents walked in. We've been talking, Dad said without preamble. Your mother and I. Mom looked uncomfortable but determined. We failed you both. We let this happen. Mom, you don't have to, Josephine started. Yes, I do. Mom's voice was firm. I favored you, Josephine. I dismissed Wendy's talent because it didn't fit my idea of success. I helped create this situation. We both did, Dad added. But we'd like to help fix it. We want to establish a foundation for young artists who've faced similar situations. I sat back, stunned. A foundation? The Mason Family Foundation for Artistic Freedom, Mom said. Using our connections to help artists who've been silenced find their voice again. Like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, Josephine murmured, glancing at my paintings. Exactly, Dad smiled. And we'd like you both to help run it, if you're willing. I looked at Josephine. She nodded slightly. On one condition, I said. Jake gets to design the logo? Mom laughed, a real laugh, not her usual society titter. Deal! Cade chose that moment to arrive, carrying a large portfolio. Sorry to interrupt the family moment, but you need to see these. He spread out a series of drawings on the desk. They've been flooding my inbox since the story broke. Young artists sharing their own stories of suppression. They're asking to contribute to the museum exhibition. Josephine picked up one of the drawings, a dark piece showing torn artwork and broken dreams. We need to show these, she said firmly. All of them. Make it a collaborative exhibition. Show that this isn't just about us anymore. A voice for the voiceless, I mused, looking at the artwork. From destruction to creation. From lies to truth, Josephine added. From broken wings to flight, Mom said softly, surprising us all. We stood there, surrounded by stories of pain and hope, watching as our personal drama transformed into something bigger than ourselves. Well, Cade said, breaking the moment, looks like we're going to need a bigger gallery. No, Josephine and I said together. We looked at each other and smiled. We're going to need multiple galleries, I continued. A whole movement, Josephine added. And in that moment, surrounded by truth and possibility, I realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's creating something new from the ashes of what was destroyed. So, I said, picking up a pen, where do we start? The museum buzzed with anticipation as I adjusted the lighting on the centerpiece installation. My original Sweet 16 painting now hung surrounded by dozens of submissions from other artists, their stories of suppression and triumph, creating a powerful visual chorus. The doors open in 20 minutes, Josephine called out, clipboard in hand. Are you ready? Almost. I stepped back, studying the effect. Jake, what do you think? More light on the butterfly corner? He squinted critically. Maybe a little. The transformation should be the brightest part, right? Smart kid, Cade said, adjusting the spotlight. My mother hurried over, looking uncharacteristically flustered. The press is already lined up outside, and Sadie's there. Let her come, Josephine said firmly. She's part of the story, too. A part that needs to be told, I agreed, touching the plaque that displayed the damning emails beneath my painting. Dad appeared with Jake's framed logo design, a butterfly emerging from shattered glass. Where should we hang this? By the entrance, Josephine and I said simultaneously. You two are getting creepy with that twin-speak thing, Cade muttered. The museum curator approached us. It's time. Are you ready for the speech? I looked at Josephine. She nodded. Together? She asked. Together. The doors opened and people flooded in. I recognized faces from the art world, journalists, and, most importantly, dozens of artists whose work now hung alongside mine. Josephine and I took our places at the podium. The room fell silent. Welcome to Breaking Free, the Art of Truth, I began. 18 years ago, in this very city, a young artist had her work destroyed by someone she trusted. That artist was my sister, Josephine continued, and I was the one who destroyed her work. This exhibition isn't just about our story anymore. It's about every artist who's been silenced, suppressed, or stolen from. It's about transformation, I added, gesturing to the walls around us. Look at these works. Each one tells a story of breaking free. Movement at the back caught my attention. Sadie had walked in, her face tight with anger. Some people, Josephine said, clearly seeing her too, might want to keep these stories hidden, might call this exhibition an act of revenge. But revenge isn't always about destruction, I continued. Sometimes it's about creation, about taking broken pieces and making something new. Something true, Josephine added. Jake suddenly appeared between us at the podium. Something that helps other people be brave. The crowd chuckled warmly. Even Sadie's expression softened slightly. My son is right, Josephine said, hugging him. This exhibition, this foundation, it's about being brave enough to tell the truth, even when the truth hurts. Especially then, I added. We opened the floor for questions. A young artist stood up. How do you move past the anger? She asked. When someone tries to silence your voice. I looked at the centerpiece painting, at the butterfly emerging from chaos. You take that anger, I said, and you transform it, like a butterfly using the energy from its struggle to break free. And you forgive, Josephine added quietly. Not for them, but for yourself. Even if they don't deserve it? Sadie's voice rang out from the back. The room went silent. Josephine straightened her shoulders. Especially then, she said, because holding on to hate only traps you in the cocoon. I watched as Sadie's face crumpled. She turned and walked out, but not before I saw tears in her eyes. The questions continued, but I found myself looking at my family. At Dad, proudly showing off Jake's logo. At Mom, actually listening to young artists explain their work. At Josephine, speaking with passionate honesty about her journey from destroyer to protector of art. Last question, the curator called out. A small girl raised her hand. What happens next? Josephine and I looked at each other, then at the room full of artwork and artists and truth. Next, I said, we keep creating. We keep telling stories, Josephine added. We keep breaking free, Jake chimed in. The crowd applauded as we officially opened the exhibition. I watched as people moved through the space, stopping to read each story, to absorb each truth. Cade appeared at my side. So, was it worth it? The long game? The secret paintings? All of it? I looked at my sister, now earnestly discussing technique with a young artist whose work had been stolen by a teacher. It was worth everything, I said, but not for the reasons I expected. Because revenge turned to redemption? Because truth turned to transformation, I corrected. For all of us. Jake tugged at my dress. Aunt Wendy, can we paint butterflies tomorrow? I hugged him close, watching as another family entered the exhibition, their young daughter clutching a sketchbook to her chest. "Yes," I said, "we can paint butterflies, as many as you want." Because that's how transformation works. One butterfly, one truth, one story at a time.